A very good afternoon to all of you present today. It's a milestone moment for us and a rare privilege to have Mr. Murthy with us, one of the eminent Indians who changed the face of India's IT industry. Sir, you have created a legacy through Infosys, but there is a lot more to you than IT. You are a visionary, industrialist, philanthropist, a family man, and an advocate of hard work. We would like to welcome you with open arms and open hearts. And friends, let us all welcome the Padma Vibhushan awardee, Mr. Narayana Murthy. Sir, please allow me to introduce you to Millennium Mams. Millennium Mams is a legacy created by our mentors, Mr. Vishnu Dhanuka and Mr. Sanjay Bhuvania, to help women empower themselves through financial literacy. And it all began with an idea 28 years ago. And today, there are more than 5,000 women who are smart investors. We have a rigorous curriculum that comprises theoretical learning of stock fundamentals. We have following the principles of Warren Buffett, attending AGMs, factory visits, budget sessions, and also inviting special guests to a forum to learn from their experiences. We encourage our members to go beyond the core curriculum and to explore their acting skills through Wajood, hone their research skills through Anveshna, understand spirituality through the Sanskar vertical, and study different sectors through the Saraswati group. Sir, I feel very proud to say that we are continuous learners who are constantly upgrading themselves in every which way possible. Thank you, mentors, for your invaluable contribution. Sir, I would like to begin the conversation by quoting a few lines from a very moving letter that Mr. Murthy wrote to his daughter, Akshata. Quote, Akshata, becoming a father transformed me in ways that I could never have thought possible. I could never go back to being the person I used to be before. Your arrival in my life brought unimaginable joy and a larger responsibility. I was no more just a husband, a son, or a promising employee of a fast-growing company. I was a father who had to measure up to the expectations his daughter would have of him at every stage of her life. Your birth raised the benchmark of my life in every respect, unquote. This letter is a part of the book Letters from Legacy by Sudha Menon. We get to see a very different side of Mr. Murthy, a caring father who places equal emphasis on family values as well as business values. So my dear friends, today we are going to have an intoxicating conversation where we discover Mr. Murthy's views on life, startups, professional and family values, women in the corporate world, and more. So with your permission, I would like to start. A startup aspirant has so many choices when it comes to venture capitalist. When it came to Mr. Murthy, it was who else but his wife, Sudha Murthy. So Mrs. Murthy was your venture capitalist for Infosys. Today, if you have a business plan, there are venture capitalists to fund you. What do you think startups need to do to survive in the long run? Sir, your views on it.
First of all, Rachna, thank you very much for this opportunity to interact with you all.
It's a pleasure, sir.
Thank you. I must say that some of you or your children will definitely become entrepreneurs. Some of you may have already become entrepreneurs. And you will transform this world in ways that we cannot imagine today. Who thought that you people and I would be sitting in our homes and seeing each other and having a conversation? It has all happened thanks to Zoom. It's a technology.
Yes.
It is a gift from an extraordinary entrepreneur. Therefore, I believe that you will change the world in ways that you and I cannot imagine today. Entrepreneurial mindset is about leadership, it's about dreaming, it's about a vision, it is about a transforming idea, it is about innovation, it is doing the plausibly impossible, it's about courage, it's about agility, it's about risk taking, it's about sacrificing, it's about seeing opportunity where others do not see. It's about austerity, at least in the beginning, and it's about hierarchy of ideas rather than the hierarchy of corner officers. Entrepreneurship, as you people know, is about transforming the power of an idea into jobs and wealth. To enhance the probability of success as an entrepreneur, I would request you to do the following. First, have an idea which has never occurred to anybody else in the world. It should be an idea which will add value to other people, value to other organizations. Such ideas create what we call a discontinuity in the marketplace, whether it's Facebook, Google, Microsoft, Uber, Amazon, Netscape, every Baidu, Paytm, or these are all good examples of such ideas. However, most ideas improve upon existing ideas. Not everybody can think of an idea which has never occurred to anybody else. Now, if your idea is one which improves upon an existing idea, now there are two possibilities. It may be impacting consumers, in which case we call it a business to consumer idea, B2C idea.
Mhm.
On the other hand, it could be an idea that transforms businesses, and we call such an idea a B2B or a business to business idea. Now, in both these cases, you have to make sure that your idea outperforms all existing ideas and existing products in at least one of the parameters. It could be cost, it could be productivity, it could be quality, it could be comfort, it could be safety, it could be health, it could be happiness for individuals. Now, on the other hand, if it is a business to business idea,
Mhm.
make sure that your idea outperforms all the existing ideas in improving the revenue of your customer company, in improving the profitability of your customer company, in expanding the customer base of your customer company, and in reducing the cost of operations of your customer company. Third, please express the power of your idea in a simple sentence and not a complex sentence and not a compound sentence. That's extremely important. If you can express your idea without any ifs and buts and nevertheless, etc., then that idea is easy to understand for you and the venture capitalists, obviously. It is easy for you to communicate the power of your idea, your product, your customers, and your employees because you have to get good employees. And finally, if your idea can be expressed in a simple way, in a simple sentence, then it is easy to implement and easy to improve. Fourth, you have to conduct an inexpensive, quick, and simple test marketing exercise of your idea among your friends and well wishers to assess whether your idea will fly. You know, I know one case in Europe when I used to work in France,
Yes, sir.
when the idea was not put to a test marketing and it failed. This is a very famous company which was into electronic goods.
Mhm.
They were famous for making lights, they were famous for making radios, they were famous for making television, etc. And they went into making computers in 1970. Unfortunately, the world simply did not believe that they could produce good computers. World did not, they could not express how their computer was going to be so much better than American computers. And therefore, that company failed in that and they had to close their computer division. This is where I will stop.
Thank you, sir. So on the dot, sir. So ideas is the key, sir. That's what I've understood, sir. And a genuine feedback is required, sir. Thank you for that, sir.
Idea,
And
idea,
yes, sir.
ability to express that idea must be such that you can express in a simple sentence.
Express. Yes, sir.
It must be an idea that adds a
Value.
clear value to somebody, either an individual or a
Absolutely.
corporation. Now, for example, Zoom itself.
Yes, sir.
Zoom's value is very clear. Zoom
Absolutely.
helps you and me to sit down in our house
Yes.
and communicate very effectively.
Yes.
This was not possible earlier. So, therefore, millions of people have bought Zoom. Okay.
Mhm. Yes, sir.
So, therefore, your idea will have to reduce cost,
Mhm.
improve comfort, improve productivity, improve your improve your entertainment, improve quality, improve productivity, etc. Some value must be there for the idea.
Yes. Yes, sir. So you would agree life is the greatest teacher, and we all learn from life than from school. So learning from experience, a growth mindset, the power of chance events, and self-reflection that have helped me grow to the present, quote unquote. So please, could you elaborate on this? And would you like to share any of your experience with us?
I will do that. Learning is about recognizing one's inadequacies and making effort to overcome these inadequacies. Therefore, each time I do something, if I write down the areas where I can improve, make effort to improve, and do a better job of it next time,
Mhm.
I would have improved the quality of what I do, and I would also have reduced the rework. If I committed mistakes, if the product that I produce or whatever I say is not good, I will have to do a lot of rework. Once I reduce rework, that means I will be more productive. Many times, events that you had not planned have a
Mhm.
tremendous impact on you.
Yes.
Let me give you an example.
Yes.
You know,
Yes, sir.
for example, my hitchhiking journey in Europe in 1974 made me an actor in the unfortunate and unjustifiable, unfair treatment of me by the Bulgarian police. That was the last straw in my fascination with leftism.
Mhm.
It converted me irretrievably from a confused leftist to a determined, compassionate capitalist and helped me found Infosys. This was, after all, a chance event.
Mhm.
So, chance events have a capacity
Yes,
to
sir.
transform your life in unbelievable ways. Self reflection is an important method to improve. Self reflection involves no outsider, but just your conscience and your mind to analyze the pluses and minuses of how I reacted or how you reacted to a stimulus from outside to an event, and it helps you or me to revise your or my response next time and become a better human being. It helps me become a better, a more honest, more courteous, more transparent, and a fairer human being. It helps me understand and treat other human beings better.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for sharing how important self-reflection is, sir. Sir, I'll go on to ask,
So
sir.
I'm coming on the big screen, right? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So is it visible, sir? Is it fine?
No. Maybe I have not set it properly. In my thing, it is coming on the small screen,
Okay, sir.
the small
So
thing.
you can click on the speaker view, then it will come on the big screen. We can see
I,
you on the
I
big
think so.
screen.
I think so. View that is. I have set it to speaker view.
Oh,
Anyway, doesn't
then,
matter. Oh.
okay. Okay, sir. Soft skills are indispensable. So, what are the soft skills that software engineers need to improve upon to become a global professional? Because, as you would agree, people are the biggest assets. So, what measures are being taken globally? People skills, interpersonal skills. What are the professionals really lacking, sir?
Well, the most important soft skill that we Indians have to develop is discipline.
Mhm.
We Indians are very poor in discipline.
Absolutely.
We do not come to meetings on time. We do not wear masks. For example, I find in Bangalore,
Mhm.
about 30 to 40% of the people are not wearing masks at all. And people are not doing social distancing. So discipline is extremely important. And in India, most ministers do not come to meetings on time.
Yes.
They make people wait for an hour or two. So discipline is the first soft skill that we Indians have to learn.
Mm.
Second is apathy. Apathy is the staple diet of Indians. We see a problem and we do nothing to solve it. We see a lot of dirt on the road. We don't even pick up phone and call the municipality. We see somebody almost dying on the road due to an accident, and most of us don't do anything. So apathy is extremely important to be overcome if India has to improve. Third, we Indians are very good in taking care of our family and our private property, but do nothing about public property and societal property like roads, parks, lakes, rivers, etc. Ganga has been dirty for hundreds of years. Each time the government takes up a project of 20,000 crores or whatever it is, and pretty soon Ganga becomes dirty. They clean it up, but we make it dirty because we have no respect for societal property. We feel that it does not belong to us, so that therefore we can treat it in any way we like. Fourth, we have to learn to write and speak English better, because that is the language of the world. Whether we like it or not, Hindi may be the language spoken by a large number of Indians, particularly, in North India, a few states. But the reality is there is hardly any literature comparable with English in Hindi. You cannot teach technology in Hindi. You cannot teach engineering in Hindi. You cannot teach medicine in Hindi. You cannot teach other skills in Hindi, unfortunately. Therefore, if we Indians have to integrate with the outside world, if we Indians have to become much more successful in our exports and much more successful in global markets, We have to learn to speak and write English better. Fifth, we have to learn the cultural nuances of other cultures and practice it. Let me give you some examples. We Indians have a habit of interrupting when the other person is speaking. Of course, you're all highly disciplined people, therefore, you don't do it. But generally, I find where even when I watch Parliament, I find that when somebody is speaking, the other person starts speaking. On TV, you see all the time, everybody is talking at the same time. The sixth thing that we Indians have to learn is we Indians become intimate before becoming friendly, while a Westerner becomes friendly first and then perhaps intimate. For example, we ask favors of people even if we do not know them well. Let me give you an example. Once my wife and I were traveling on train to a pilgrimage tent center. The train started from Bangalore and the person who was sitting opposite us, he started talking. He introduced himself, we introduced ourselves. Hardly 5 minutes had elapsed in our conversation. And then he said, "Can you please speak to my boss to get me a transfer to whatever place he wanted?" You don't do that in the West. Unfortunately, in India, we do this. Similarly, in India, we give recommendations for jobs and for admission to colleges, etc., even if we don't know the people well. Now, sixth uh, cultural nuance or soft skill that we have to learn is we Indians are rather poor in teamwork. We rarely succeed in teamwork. I mean, only in the recent past, the Indian cricket team has improved in its teamwork. Similarly, there are a few cases where we are learning how to work better in teams. But by and large, we Indians are poor in teamwork. This again we have to learn from the West because we work in silos. I would say these are the soft skills that we have to learn.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your words of wisdom. Sir, coming on to, so the CEO salaries are going through the roof, and you've also said that managerial remuneration has to be a fair multiple of the compensation of the lowest level employee in the company. Why do you feel so, sir? And will this be a deterrent to get the right talent given the CEOs are used to getting multi-crore salaries? And also your views on women CEOs, and will this crisis change the mindset?
I think that is a good question. Let me get to that. First of all, let's remember that no leader can succeed in a vacuum. He or she needs the imagination, hard work, discipline, and the commitment of every one of the employees for the company to succeed. Therefore, The belief that the company is performing only because of the CEO is not valid. Second, the company will do well only when there is an environment of openness, transparency, and fairness in everything it does on a need to know basis. CEO compensation is one of the issues which requires transparency and fairness. We have a tendency nowadays, thanks to SEBI, it has changed. But in the earlier days, the CEO compensation was not known to any employee, was not known to any shareholder.
Yes.
The third issue is in a poor country like India, capitalism is still in its infancy. After all, we have about 400 million people who live below the poverty line of somewhere around 28 rupees per day. Within this 28, you have to eat 3 times a day. You have to take care of your health, you have to take care of your education, you have to take care of your shelter, etc., etc. That's very difficult. So therefore, India is a very poor country, one of the poorest countries in the world, India. And here, capitalism is still not fully accepted and therefore still in its infancy. It is the responsibility of the evangelists of capitalism, that means the current CEOs, to conduct themselves in a way by showing self restraint on greed and make capitalism attractive to the employees of a corporation or members of our society. Now, my view is that managerial remuneration should be based on three principles. First, a fair multiple of the compensation of the lowest level employee in the company, full transparency on details of such compensation to shareholders, and accountability by linking the variable part of the compensation with the long-term performance of the company. These days, many experts believe that a ratio of 70 to 80 between the compensation of the CEO and the median salary of the company seems to be okay. Mm-hmm. In some well-run global corporations, the compensation of the CEO is discussed with a few top shareholders and their opinion is considered before a decision is made on the CEO compensation. Then it is placed before the shareholders for their approval at an AGM or an EGM.
Yes, sir. So, and the second part, sir, your views on women CEOs and will the crisis change the mindset?
Yeah, I'll get to that.
Yes.
I have worked with several women managers. At one point of time, there were 4 women managers reporting to me. Mm-hmm. There was Neelam Mehta in charge of MIS. There was Sudha Kumar in charge of marketing. There was there were 2 more women managers, and I found them to be as good as any male managers. In fact, in some way, they were better because I found generally that women managers were more disciplined than male managers, and they generally delivered whatever they were supposed to deliver on time with reasonable quality. Therefore, I am all for equal opportunity for women to become CEOs. Women CEOs, there are many examples, but I can take a few of them. Arundhati Bhattacharya is a good one. She used to be the MD, chairman and MD of the State Bank of India before her retirement. She's a good example of what I described.
Yes.
She would deliver on time with quality, so therefore, I would say we have to create a mindset that leverages the best of the 50% of the population, that is women. After all, we all agree, at least I fully agree in my case, that it was due to the efforts of my wife alone that our children were brought up well. My son did a PhD, a very high quality PhD from Harvard University in computer science. My daughter did her MBA from Stanford. Before that, she did her undergraduate degree from Claremont. And in both these, she was in the top of the class. They have conducted themselves extremely well. They have a lot of compassion. Whatever they promise, they do it on time. They work very hard. They have compassion. In other words, they have been brought up as good human beings. And that credit goes entirely to my wife. So, therefore, I have no doubt that women CEOs will perform as good as any male CEO. In fact, many cases, they could perform even better. That's what I would say.
Thank you, sir. So, and as you said that the credit goes to Mrs. Murthy, the way she has brought up your children.
Yeah,
So, you had written a very moving letter to your daughter in
yeah,
2016. And
yeah,
this poignantly penned letter shows how you and your wife, Mrs. Sudha Murthy, have instilled the importance of austerity in your children.
yeah,
So, this letter is a masterpiece and it takes us through the journey of your personal and professional life. Parents today, sir, they are bending backwards to appease their children, but you seem to have a different view. So, measuring up to the expectations of your daughter is always difficult for a father. How do you feel you have done? Because you've said that she was the only boss in your life.
yeah, that's true. Well, I am not at all sure, Rachna,
Mhm.
that I came up to the expectations of my children as a father. I have not been fair to my children in discharging my duties at all. I was so busy with building Infosys that I did not spend any worthwhile time on them. This is one of my biggest regrets. My wife brought them up, both my daughter and my son,
Mhm.
to become highly accomplished and value based individuals. Therefore, as I said before,
Yes.
that credit goes entirely to my wife because today, when I see both of them as mature adults discharging their responsibility, both at their workplace as well as at home. I feel that my wife has brought them up extremely well. And that's the time when I feel I should have spent a little bit more time and perhaps claimed a little bit of credit. But one thing is certain,
Yes.
as I have written in that letter,
Mhm.
the day my daughter was born, that was the first child,
Yes.
I realized that there was somebody in this world in whose eyes I could do nothing wrong. There was somebody in this world who was always correct. There was somebody in this world who had all the good qualities. Therefore, even though I could not spend much time, or almost I spent almost very little time with my children, both my daughter and my son. The fact that my daughter and my son looked up to me as their idol
Yes.
meant that I had to conduct myself properly and I had to live up to their expectations in terms of my behavior, in terms of my conduct, in terms of my honesty, in terms of my courage, in terms of my discipline, in terms of my fairness, in terms of my transparency. So, therefore, I would say, while my children definitely helped me to become a much better human being, I wish I had spent a little bit more time in bringing them up. And I don't claim any credit in that activity at all.
So I would say Mrs. Murthy is a role model for all of us. It's a women's organization, and today 293 women have joined this meeting. So it's a big message you've given to all of us today, sir. Thank you so much,
Particularly
sir.
to fathers. Particularly to fathers.
Yes, sir, absolutely. So, coming to technology, sir, my next question. So, IT has disrupted all sectors during the pandemic, and work from home is now the new norm. How do you see the role of IT changing in the future, and what kind of impact will it have on us? So, Mr. Nilekani has also recently said that Infosys sees tremendous appetite for tech investment. So we can see the change which is happening, and we can see what's going to happen in future. So, according to you, sir, what change we are heading towards?
Well, the Indian IT sector is primarily a service oriented industry. It has done well by its good growth and it has added precious foreign exchange to India's kitty. It has also brought a good name to India in front of the developed nations. Now, let me talk about what are the relevant technologies that are going to play an important role in our lives as we move forward. And these technologies of the future, they're already there, but they will become ubiquitous. You will see them everywhere, like every house uses Zoom today, at least in urban India. So, like that. The ubiquitous technologies of the future are Internet of Things, or what we call IoT,
Mhm.
the fifth generation mobile technologies, cloud, artificial intelligence and machine learning, big data and analytics, blockchain, Bitcoin, and 3D printing. Now, I will speak only about the first four technologies because of time.
Yes.
I just explain in simple sentences
Yes.
what each of these is. The term Internet of Things is very nebulous. There is no specific gadget that you can identify as IoT. Basically, it's an ensemble of physical machines and gadgets, computing machines or computers, internet and communications gadgets. All these gadgets coming together to apply the power of internet to real-time process-oriented and event-oriented applications like remote surgery, enabling automatic driving of cars, controlling a furnace that makes steel, or controlling a nuclear reactor,
Mhm.
or controlling an aircraft. Today, as you know, it is all fly-by-wire aircraft. That means everything is controlled by a computer. When the pilot puts the aircraft on autopilot, once it reaches the cruising altitude, the rest of the work is done by the computer
Yes, sir.
till they come very near the destination and they want to start descending. The entire thing is handled by computers, and that is Internet of Things,
Yes, sir.
or even a satellite. The controlling of satellite is all done by computers. Where it should be stationed, how much it should move due to sunlight, etc., etc. Similarly, as you move forward, controlling your refrigerator or TV at home. Already they're coming. Definitely, those models are available, but they are somewhat expensive, so it is not very popular in India. I mean, you can set from your office what temperature you want in the refrigerator, and when the temperature goes down, you can sit in your office and bring it up. Similarly, you can decide to record any program you want on the TV from your office while you're doing your work. You can say, start this program at 7:30 p.m. and stop it at 8:30. Similarly, if you want to locate a truck in its route, that's handled by IoT. There are what are called sensors, there are computers, there is internet connecting these things, etc. So you can say this truck is held up, 5 miles from Jaipur, and it is not able to. There is a problem with the truck, and therefore you have to send a technician to this latitude and this longitude. That you can do today. It's done in India too. And then, of course, there is creating and operating smart cities. What is a smart city? Smart city, you can control lighting in smart cities. You can measure the use of electricity, use of water. You can look at, if it has rained a lot, then you can ensure that the public parks are not watered, etc., etc. In other words, you can operate, and in the on the roads, if there is lot of traffic, then others will get the message saying there are a lot of traffic ahead, therefore take an alternate path. You can do all of that. Today, we all do it manually using Google, but all of that can be done. The car itself will take you on an alternate route if the traffic ahead is congested. Now, everything happens because of Internet of Things. Then, as I pointed out earlier, helping the efficient use of water, electricity, and air conditioning, and many other applications. For example, at Infosys, in every one of its offices, the lights are switched off at a given time, air conditioning is switched off at a given time, etc., etc., because we don't want to waste power when there is nobody in the office, right? All of this is done automatically by Internet of Things. Similarly, it brings the power of computing to activities in supply chains, manufacturing, water and electric utilities, agriculture, healthcare, medical and surgical activities, transportation, security, and many other applications. Now, I have to point out that one fundamental feature of an IoT application is that it operates in real time. In other words, the computer responds within the resolution time of the process that it is controlling. What do I mean by that? Let's assume that you have the ISRO has sent a rocket to the moon. Now, if the rocket were to go slightly off the path, now that message will come to the computer on the ground. The computer will compute how much of shift to the right is required because the rocket has gone to the left, and it sends a message all within such a fraction of time that the rocket is back in its path without any danger to rocket going in the wrong path. So that's what is called responding within the resolution time of the process that it is controlling. Now, IoT has become possible because of advances in computational power. As you know, today's mobile phones have much larger computing power than the computer that was used in 1969 to land man on the moon. I want every one of you to appreciate that. It
Yes.
is also it IoT has become possible because of sensor technologies, digital to analog and analog to digital technologies, communication technologies like 4G and 5G. Now, what is 5G? 5G basically scales up wireless communication from 100 megabits per second that 4G provides to several gigabits per second. It can go up to 5 gigabits per second. In other words, 5G could be 50 times faster than 4G. Now, 5G, when applied with IoT, will usher in many new applications because it reduces the resolution time of real-time critical processes like remote surgery, nuclear reactors, and advanced aircraft, satellites, and rockets. You know, when the surgeon in Mumbai is operating on a patient in Jaipur, thanks to 5G, as he puts his knife into the body, that knife will be stopped. It's not he who is doing it, it's the robot that's doing. That signal will go to robot saying that you have to stop now because you are endangering the patient. All of that will happen so quickly because of 5G combined with IoT. I already gave you the example of aircraft, satellites, and rockets. It also brings down what we call the latency. It allows more and more devices to be connected online concurrently, and it enhances communication speeds, as I pointed out earlier, to 3 to 5 gigabits per second, as against 100 megabits per second of 4G. It also makes possible virtual reality applications. It makes possible, for example, Rachna asked me a question. It looks like you are in London. Actually, I am in Bangalore. All that has happened is I have used a virtual
Virtual
background
reality.
for my Zoom. That's
Yes,
Yeah,
all.
that's all.
technology.
It's all technology. And thanks to the communication speed, that virtual background is going to you so fast that it appears like I'm actually in London.
Yeah.
So, therefore, I think 5G has tremendous value to us. For example, today there is not that much of 4K video streaming. There is very little in India, probably nothing. But I can tell you, Rachna, in another 2 to 3 years,
Yes, sir.
you will all your TV will be 4K.
Mhm.
What is 4K? 4K is 3840 by 2160 pixels per, per screen. In other words, it is four times better than high definition.
My God.
You can see minutest details on the TV. It
Wow.
also brings big data analytics to mobile phone users. I can do lots of data analysis just using my mobile phone because thanks to 5G, a large amount of data can come from somebody else to me or from some computer to me. It improves supply chain through better use of large number of advanced sensors. For example, when you're making steel in a steel furnace, let's say in Rourkela steel plant, there are somewhere around 150 parameters that you have to measure every few seconds: temperature, pressure, volume, slag, impurities, etc., etc.
Mhm.
Now, if the temperature goes up, how do you bring down the temperature in a steel furnace? As you know, steel is made at 1530 degrees Celsius. If the temperature goes to 1550, What you do is you add what is called slag, and that brings down the temperature. Now, thanks to 5G, the sensors will recognize it, they will send the information to the computer will compute how much of slag to add to the furnace and send that information to the sensor, and the sensor will ensure that that much of slag is lifted from wherever it is and added to the furnace. No, in other words, all these things are made possible because of 5G. Now, let me take a little bit of time on explaining what cloud is.
Yes.
Now, we use the word cloud in a very loose way. Everybody thinks that up there in the sky, there is a lot of data, there's a lot of information. No, there is nothing like that. Cloud is nothing but a network of reliable, highly secure, large capacity computing and storage forms. Form means there will be thousands of disk drives. They are spread throughout the world. In some cases, they may all be at one place. For example, Google would use probably about 3 or 4 such storage forms in the United States. Now, we call it cloud simply because it is as if the whole information is up there in the sky and we can pull it, but it is all in a huge area of land on which a huge factory space is built, and in that there are thousands and sometimes hundreds of thousands of disk drives that are located, and those disk drives have the entire data that you and I use today. Cloud allows users to use these facilities through the power of high speed data communication. Now, if you did not have high speed data communication, then you cannot extract the data from, let's say, somewhere it is in Oregon, United States, and it has to come to Jaipur. How will it come? It has to come using high speed data communication. So, therefore, high speed data communication and high capacity storage and computing forms are absolutely necessary for cloud to succeed. Now, what does cloud do? Cloud reduces cost by eliminating capital costs for you. Now, I am sure all of you have subscribed to, or many of you have subscribed to Dropbox.
Yes.
Now, Dropbox is nothing but a company that provides a large capacity of storage, disk storage for you. Now, for example, I have subscribed to 2 trillion bytes of storage capacity. And whenever I want to watch a movie that I've stored on my disk, but that disk is in the cloud or that disk is somewhere in the US, it comes pretty quickly to my computer and my computer plays it on my screen. So cloud reduces cost by eliminating capital cost for you. I don't need to buy, such disk drives. I don't need them, and it allows me to scale up my usage on demand. Whenever I want to use the data, I can use it. When I don't want to use it, I don't have to. I can pay only when I use it. Since most software application providers have developed the cloud version of their software application, cloud eliminates the need for investment in software development as long as you do not need specific customization for you. Cloud technology has contributed significantly to the democratization of access to large scale computing and storage. How many of us had 2 trillion bytes of disk capacity on our machines? No, we didn't have it at all. Just to give you a comparison, in 1984, I installed a computer that had just 3,300 megabytes per disk drive. I installed 4 such computers, or 1.2 gigabyte of disk space on a large computer that I had installed. You know how much it cost us? How much it cost Infosys at that time?
How much, sir?
It cost us at that time $80,000. $80,000. Now that $80,000 today, if you looked at the inflation, even if you looked at somewhere around 3%, it would easily be about $320,000. But today, I pay only $99 per year for 2 trillion bytes. This 1.2 gigabyte, if then for that 1.2 gigabyte, I would pay today approximately about 9.9 cents. In other words, it will be 1,000th of what I pay today for 2 trillion bytes, because 1.2 gigabytes, when you multiply it by 1,000 times, it becomes 1.2 trillion bytes. In fact, it's even larger. I mean, I'd have paid even much less, probably about 5 cents. Imagine where $320,000 is and where 5 cents is. In other words, equal to 5 naya paise versus 3.2 lakhs. That is the power of cloud. That is the power of technology. Now, I don't know how much time you have. I can talk about artificial intelligence, but
Yes.
Well, artificial intelligence or AI is about computers mimicking human thinking to automate any routine, predictable task. There has been much work going on to use what we call probabilistic or Bayesian approaches to artificial intelligence and machine learning. Now, what are the areas where we have used AI? One fundamental principle of AI is it should learn by itself. You give it, you teach it with some examples, and next time that computer program itself will be able to do it. Exactly like we teach children. You teach children the English alphabet and they learn it to use it. Similarly, the AI programs do self-learning. Now, what are the areas where we have used AI? You have all used it. I have used it. First is natural language processing. I think all of you have used Siri, right, on your iPhones. You ask Siri any question that you want, it will answer. How is the day going to be? The Siri will tell you, no, it's going to be cloudy, it may rain today. And it answers in human voice, right? Similarly, artificial intelligence is used in game playing, chess games. Computers have defeated human beings, the best chess player in the world. They use in what are called expert systems for medical diagnosis. Today, doctors use artificial intelligence programs to detect whether there is anything wrong with their patients. In image and voice recognition, all of you have used face recognition software in some application or other. You have used voice recognition software, right? In on your phones and many applications. We have seen robots, robotics, that we have seen. I'm sure you all of you have seen a remote surgery taking place. You have seen factories being manned entirely by robots. You know, I had gone to I had gone to a car manufacturing facility in Germany 4 or 5 years ago, and I found it's Volkswagen factory, and I found that in their welding shop, everything was a robo. There was no human being. There was one engineer sitting in his air-conditioned room and controlling those robots. And there were hundreds of these welding machines. They were all controlled by robots. And I already spoke about medical diagnosis. And finally, I mean, you've all heard about self-driving cars. You've used self-parking cars. You can, right? I mean, for example, you have used Toyota self-parking cars. You just put it on self-parking and it parks itself. Even today, right now in Bangalore. Now, in a few years, already in the US, self-driving cars are available on an experimental basis. But in a few years, in probably 2 to 3 years in the US, and in about 10, 15 years in India, you don't need to know driving. You just sit there and start the car, and then you feed in there. I want to go to Rachna Prasad's house, and this is the address. And the car will take you and it will stop in front of Rachna Prasad's house. So this is what artificial intelligence has been able to do. So therefore, I would say artificial intelligence has become a big boon. Now, however, I must say this: there is a fear whether human beings will be replaced by computing machines. My own view is that these technologies, when they are used as assistive technologies, when they are used to help human beings, they will enhance job opportunities for our youngsters. The past data on automation supports this. Once upon a time, I don't know, many of you may not even have been born. In 1971, 70s, when the first ATM was installed in London on an experimental basis, the banking staff or the union went on strike. But then the management explained to them that this is how you will get more customers, because you are making life easier for customers, and therefore more and more customers will come to bank, and therefore you will have more and more work. And that's exactly what has happened. Today it is very difficult to live without an ATM. It is very difficult to live without a Zoom. It is very difficult to live without e-commerce, without going to a Flipkart or Amazon to buy whatever you want, to buy even groceries. So therefore, I think I don't think we need to be worried about these technologies replacing human beings, because by and large, these technologies will help us as assistive technologies. That's what I wanted to say.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for explaining it with so much of clarity. Like now we know exactly what is Internet of Things, what is cloud and artificial intelligence. And technology definitely is already changed our way of life, and it's going to bring about a turnaround, I'm sure. Sir, I won't take any much time because it's already 5:12. So it was a wonderful session. So if you would want to share with us how you keep yourself updated, like you are a powerhouse of knowledge, you know so much. So if you could just tell us in a nutshell how you upgrade yourself, sir, before we sign off.
Well, I'm sorry I didn't hear what he said, but I will answer Rachana's question. You know, the reality, Rachana, is simply this.
Mhm.
I am running 75 years.
Yes, sir.
We are most vulnerable to COVID.
Yes, sir.
Our children, both of whom are in London,
Yes, sir.
they have told us very strictly that we cannot go out of home.
Mhm.
We have made sure that our security staff lives with us,
Yes, sir.
our cooks live with us, our help lives with us. We have provided proper place to live with us in the same house with us. So I have not gone out of home since March 10, 2020. Now,
Mm.
however, I have not stopped working. The younger people go to office and I interact with them using Zoom. I have 4 to 5 calls, Zoom calls every day. I review their work. I take part in discussions. We come to conclusions together, all of that. Second, I read a lot. Today, the amount of information available on internet
Yes.
is just unbelievable. Whatever question you have, just pose it to Google, there is an answer. But you have to know English. If you know only Hindi, not you, but I'm saying if you know only Hindi, you it cannot answer.
Yes, sir.
Because the amount of information available on Google in Hindi is probably 1/20th of what is available, or even less than that in English. Next, I also buy a lot of books on Kindle. I have about 1,000 books on Kindle.
Oh.
I read them, and because of my age, I have become slow in understanding. Probably 10 years ago, I used to understand faster. No, that's not a bad thing for me because I'm also old. That takes a lot of time for me, and that's okay. Then I read a lot of mathematics. That's my favorite subject. And the good thing with mathematics is it is difficult for me to understand now, and therefore it puts me to sleep well. So if you people want to sleep well, read something that is difficult to understand at the bedtime. Then it will automatically take you to sleep. Then I listen to music. I listen to a lot of music. Earlier, I was listening primarily to Western classical, but over the last 20 years, I've started listening to Hindi film music, Kannada film music, Kannada folk music, all of them. And Carnatic classical. I am not I have not been able to get appreciation of Hindustani classical music. It is somewhat slow for me, but I listen to Carnatic classical music. I listen to a lot of Western classical music. I listen to a lot of Hindi film songs, etc. And and then I have these Zoom calls with friends. This morning I had a Zoom call with my, one friend in Australia and another friend in Japan. We spent about an hour and a half talking to each other. So I think all of us have to accept this new normal and we manage it.
Absolutely, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. It was a great learning experience for all of us. And sir, I would like to invite our Vice President, Meghna Bajoria, to extend the vote of thanks before we
Thank you.
sign off.
Thanks.
Thank you, Rachna.
Thank you.
In the words of John C. Maxwell, a leader is one who knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. It has been an absolute honor to have with us today Mr. Narayana Murthy, an exemplary leader, a self-made entrepreneur, and a brilliant IT expert who has been responsible for India's great strides in the IT sector. Thank you so much, sir, for giving us your valuable time and for sharing with us your phenomenal journey and life lessons, as well as giving us a fascinating glimpse of the exciting future of IT via Internet of Things, clouds, and AI, among a few. We have had so many takeaways from you today, sir, right from the way you defined the entrepreneurial mindset and highlighted the importance of expressing the power of our idea in a simple sentence, as well as the importance of self-reflection. Your strong conviction for equal opportunities for women CEOs is very heartening and encouraging to all of us, sir. So we have always been very inspired by the person you are, such a dynamic, brilliant leader, yet so humble and down to earth with such strong value systems. It is extremely rare to come across such a combination. Thank you, sir, for honoring us with your stellar presence today at our forum. It truly will be a most memorable and cherished interaction for all of us.